warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to appreciate this brave move of SIO to conduct such a conference on the topic history. And we can say that rewriting history in textbooks is a relevant subject to discuss. Though rewriting history has been before itself, that is, rewriting history is actually a continuous process where the researcher implies his methodological and ideological attempts. And we can see that the first history textbook was written by a British man. His name is James Mill, and his book, which was published in 1817, A History of British India. Okay, and in this book, he periodized the whole Indian history into three: Hindu period, and then a Muslim period, and then British period. So thus he created a historical narrative. He introduced a colonial historiography where you see the history as through a religious perspective. So, and after independence, during the post-independence period, there came a new narratives, new moves to read history through new perspectives. So then came Marxist historiography and Marxist historians, who then periodized the Indian history into medieval period and ancient period. And thus there came through the ages, there came a picture that ancient period was the golden age, and then comes the medieval period, that is the Muslim age, and which is the dark age. And next we can see that in the contemporary India, we can say that communal historiography has strong roots in colonial historiography. It comes from this colonial historiography, the books of British people, the history books. We can see that this communal interpretation of history is still in our textbooks. These textbooks depicts Muslims as foreigners, as outsiders, as enemies, and the Hindus as the originals, as the indigenous people of India. And BJP is set to propagate this communal interpretation through school textbooks. We all know why. And next we can see that why school textbooks, because school textbooks are the the best ways to impose, to produce to produce a nationalism, a Hindu nationalism, a blind patriotism in the young minds of the society, and thus develop a society where there is Hindu nationalism, and who believe that India is actually Hindu. And next, this paper also discusses about the spreading network of the RSS, especially in the NCRT and all other educational institutions we see as autonomous in our country. In 1977, when the Hindu forces first came to share power in India, they took a move. They produced a bill to ban the NCRT textbooks, which were written by some of the most prominent historians of that era. But due to a protest, due to a nationwide protest, the ban was cancelled, and they couldn't move further. But the next time they came to power, and the next time they come to power, in the present situation, they are moving with a hidden agenda, with a well-planned propaganda. And we can see that in the history departments of several universities and the autonomous institutions of our country are the chairpersons of these institutions are mostly RSS activists, or those who have a RSS mindset, those who have a Hindu nationalist mindset. And we also know that Vidya Bharati, the institutions under RSS who run schools and institutions all over India, are working in their propaganda and silently imposing their hidden agenda in their textbooks through their education systems. And talking about history, rewriting history, we can see that it is through three ways. And rewriting history of India through textbooks, that is the first part. RSS ideologues actually claim that they make several claims, like Aryans lived 5,000 years before Christ, and historically it is proven that Aryans invaded India in 1500 BC. And they also make such claims like Battle of Mahabharata happened in 3100 BC. Thus, they are they are bringing myths into history and mythicizing history. They are actually bringing religion, they are bringing myths into history and claiming them as historical facts. And they also claim that India is actually the mother of all world civilizations, and claims that the Indian culture is actually the important, it's the utmost culture of the world. And they claim that Indus Valley civilization is Saraswati civilization. And when we are analyzing the state textbooks, we can see that in Rajasthan, social science textbooks of class 8, for class 8, erased Nehru, the name in Nehru. And class 10 textbooks, in class 10 textbook, Veer Savarkar adjusts out Nehru, and he is portrayed as a great revolutionary man. And in class 10 social science textbooks, we can see the 16th century battle between Akbar and Rana Pratap Singh, which was won by Akbar. It is told in these textbooks that Maharana Pratap Singh won these battles. In Maharashtra textbooks also, we can see the same case. In class 7 and 9 textbooks, Shivaji is actually portrayed, is depicted as a great hero. And the next thing is rewriting history in other foreign countries, in United States and other foreign countries. They are, through this agenda, they are also exporting this history, this RSS history, this communal history in other world countries also. And the last point is about attacks on Indian culture. And it attacks on Indian culture, attacks on art, historical monuments, and rewriting history through the cinemas. We can see, for instance, Padmavati. When you watch the movie Padmavati, we can see that the Rajputs are depicted as depicted as the heroes, as the Indians, and we can see that when they go to Alauddin Khalji, he is depicted as a tyrant leader. He is depicted as a plunderer, as a looter. And yes. And I would like to conclude that critically analyzing this issue, we can see that we need to take several, to fight this RSS ideology, we need to move with with agenda itself. We need to, these history conferences like this are a very challenge to these moves, this propaganda of the RSS. And we can see that the universities, and we need to teach in the educational institutions, universities, history, where the students can view history through a critical mind, through analytical mind, and to thus read their past historically, and through a critical mind, where they can understand what is their history, to understand their history through a critical mind. And that's all. If you need any further information, please read my paper. Thank you.